When looking at two seemingly unrelated films, I find there's always something that they share in common. But when examining 1994 Pulp Fiction, directed by Quentin Tarantino, and 2019 Parasite by Bong Joon-ho, the only leading similarity I could find between the two films was their odd focus on socioeconomic status. In Pulp Fiction, hitmen and partners, Vincent and Jules, kill people for a wealthy crime lord Marcellus Wallace, while in Parasite, the poor Kim family infiltrates the wealthy Park household, taking over all of the service jobs by faking credentials slowly, siphoning money off from the wealthy Parks. Through each of their portrayals of the lower and upper classes of society, each of the films feed into Marxist film theory while differing due to their cultural context, character interactions, and cinematography, which I will be analyzing through this comparative study, with each of the films being 24 years apart, along with being from a different culture, the USA and South Korea, respectively. Marxist film theory is the idea of the lower class being oppressed by an upper ruling class. Along with that, there is no way to gain wealth without the exploitation of the working class, and that all potential upward social mobility is false. When seeing Marx's ideas in Parasite and Pulp Fiction, some of the comparisons seem surface level. In the case of Parasite, the poverty-stricken Kims are only in their predicament needing to do work because of rampant unchecked capitalism around them, with the working class, the Kim family, being seen as mere servants to fit the roles of the upper class Park family's lives, simply pawns to be thrown away or replaced when best for the ruling elite. Similar to Pulp Fiction, in how Marcellus Wallace exerts his will onto the hitmen, making them do all the dirty work necessary to keep his criminal empire afloat. Profiteering off the backs of the working class men, the hitmen, these themes of profit made off the working men in partly is so prevalent through pop culture and film due to the simple real-world application. Both Parasite and Pulp Fiction tell the story of class oppression using each of their respective cultural contexts, giving a light into the real inequality around us, which is rapidly getting worse before our very eyes. In all history, all hitherto existing society is the history of class struggles, freedman and slave, patrician and plebeian, lord and serf, guildmaster and journeyman, in a word, oppressor and oppressed, stood in constant opposition to one another, carried on an uninterrupted, now hidden, now open fight, a fight that each time ended either in revolutionary reconstruction of society at large or in the common ruin of the contending classes. This is the social upheaval deemed necessary by many in Marxist film theory, as stated by the Communist Manifesto, the basis for Marxist film theory. Due to the impacts of the Korean War and U.S. aid to South Korea, the South Korean economy had a miracle denoted as the Miracle on the Han River, in which the economy rapidly industrialized. This, however, occurred at the expense of leaving large, widespread income inequality, only worsening as money entered the hands of wealthy elites like the Park family. The same can be said for the economics of the USA in the 1990s. With a longer history of industrialization dating back over 150 years, the USA had a deeper set income inequality even in the 1990s than South Korea. Within the two movies is the driving shower of inequality. While being different as a whole, they both utilize their camera work to reinforce Marxist divisions. In Parasite, spatial division is a constant motif. The camera often frames the Kim family through narrow corridors, stairways, or cramped interiors, emphasizing their limitation and lack of freedom. On the other hand, the Park home is often shot in wide, symmetrical, and open compositions, symbolizing control, power, and privilege. Pulp Fiction, however, doesn't use vertical space in the same way. Instead, it uses constrained, low-ceiling spaces and tracking shots to give a sense of entrapment. Quentin Tarantino's camera work is less about the physical distance between classes and more about the psychological suffocation and rot bred by capitalism. While Parasite and Pulp Fiction both tell the story of Marxist capitalism, Their difference lies in their geographic locations. This can be seen clearest when the characters' interactions with the systems around them are dictated not just by class but national context. In Parasite, the tension is based on modern meritocracy myths, how South Korea's post-industrial capitalist boom leaves behind the working poor who are promised mobility but receive none. Pulp Fiction, meanwhile, deals with characters who already understand their place in a decayed capitalist structure. They no longer believe in any sort of mobility. The hitmen are simply performing a function. In both, there is a sense of mortality, but Parasite frames that struggle in a still evolving culture. Lighting is different, however, in both of the films, and is used as a storytelling tool for the economic contrast between the two films. Parasite uses naturalistic lighting, especially sunlight, strategically, almost exclusively seen in the park home, giving it an aura of hope and purity unseen within the Kim's home, which is bathed in fluorescent or ambient streeting lighting, symbolizing artificial hope and a lack of future upward social mobility. Pulp Fiction relies heavily on warm, saturated tones to create a bleak, contrasting atmosphere, but also to strip away illusions that everything is bathed in a dirty yellow or blood red, reminding that there's no escaping from the system. While Parasite uses light to separate classes, Pulp Fiction uses it to unify its characters in a shared moral decay. Both Parasite and Pulp Fiction confront the viewer with uncomfortable truths about class and power. The only difference between the two being the method of showing Marxist film theory to be true, with both using storytelling to highlight their differences. By embedding Marxist theory into their storytelling, both films reveal a harsh truth, that systems that support the wealthy upper class can only do so through exploitation, whether it's forced servitude in Parasite or brutal violence in Pulp Fiction. Their shared use of absurdity, dark humor, and sudden violence allows for the viewer to be shocked, along with really seeing the true depth behind the moral ambiguity of capitalism. Each of the now seemingly related films repeat the same eerie warning. When capitalism goes unchecked and Marxist theory isn't implemented, the lower classes will revolt in what often shows to be bloody revolution, as seen clearest in Parasite.